Going live.
All right.
Keep talking bad about Philip.
Oh, I got
Keep
no
talking
problem.
bad about Philip. We
I
were just dissing Philip in the
I had to
backstage area.
talk to Philip for an hour yesterday, and that's about.
Oh man,
about what?
Nothing worse.
About anime, which he doesn't watch.
Why would you talk to Philip about anime that he doesn't watch?
Because I forced myself. I literally bullied Murphy and Philip until they let me talk to them about their stupid things they read. So I just whined and complained and threw a tantrum and rolled on the ground and kicked my feet until they're like, "Oh no, we've always wanted to talk with you about this stuff." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thank you for rewriting reality." And so now,
just before we continue the backstage chat that we started, just before we went online, welcome everybody to Friends on Books number 9. I let Friends on Books sort of lapse for a long time, and I've been looking forward to getting back to it. And I've been wanting to invite Alan and Jimmy forever. And understandably, it's always been a concept in my mind to invite both of you together. Like, I never thought about inviting just Alan to one or just Jimmy to one. It's like, it's got to be both you. And Brian from BellTube, everybody probably knows Alan and Jimmy if they know my channel at all. They may not know Brian. Brian's relatively new. He is a rising star in the BookTube community. He's been online for about 8 weeks and already hit his 1K milestone. And I'm not jealous at all. And is also, I would say, one of the most hilarious booktubers that I know of, with the most energy and cool ideas for his videos. So thank you guys for joining me.
Jimmy, is that a Joe Flacco jersey?
Bro, I bought a Joe Flacco Browns jersey. If you would have told me 8 months ago I'd be wearing a Joe Flacco Browns jersey, I'd have been like, how?
Is that? Oh, he plays for the Browns now?
Dude, they picked him up. He hasn't played in forever. They picked him up, and he's the #1 quarterback since he started starting games again. Like, he's the most exciting player to watch in the NFL right now.
The Browns still aren't going to win.
Oh, no, we're going to lose, and then I'm going to have to burn this jersey because we're going to release him as soon as we lose. But I got Flacco feet.
Browns fan?
Yeah, dude. I've been a Browns fan since I was young. Yeah.
But why?
My dad grew up in Elyria, Ohio, and all of his family was around the Cleveland area. So, you know, when I was really young, we would go visit family there, and the Browns games were on. And it was one of the few things that, like, me and my dad could, like, sit down and connect over without, like, you know, arguing. So we're so that it has.
You said Elyria, and me, with my job being what it is, I literally was just like, "Oh, okay, your dad is from the west coast of ancient Greece, where
there's a lot of NFL action in ancient Greece,
where the Via Egnatia began."
Ancient Greece, they're big on the Browns.
No, I talk about Elyria all the time. There's an awesome, like, 80-year-old barbarian king who, like, crushed the Macedonians. His name is Bardyllis.
Elyria is also in the movie Airplane, and I know this because I was in Vegas, possibly out of my mind, and I was playing craps with this dude next to me, and he was like, where are you from? We started talking about Elyria. He's like, "You serious?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm from Elyria." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know Elyria is in the movie Airplane? It's like on the radar in the plane whenever they're flying." I was like, "I did not." And now you guys know because I had to know.
All right, well, thanks.
Okay, it's a good thing that Philip got here. It's a good thing that Philip got here slightly late.
It's not good. We'll say it to its face. I said, "Philip, I talked for an hour with you yesterday, which is 45 minutes too long." Philip knows. Philip knows. And
we've heard it all.
Wow.
And Jimmy dropped out of the first Friends with Books because you were going to be on it, and he's like, "I ain't talking about it."
Yeah. He couldn't handle the tag team of Dr. Fantasy and AP.
Oh no!
So he backed out.
Jimmy would run in there with a chair, knock both of them out, win the whole match. Isn't that right, Jimmy?
I mean, they both have very brittle bones. I think I could.
I smell a handicap match coming. It's going to be a handicap
because he won't eat any protein because he smacks bacon out of your hand when you're trying to eat it. Jimmy Whitney.
Yeah, and plus his bone density has to be embarrassing, I would imagine.
If we're ever in the same place and we're eating bacon and he slaps out of my hand, I'm going to go Jimmy nuts on him.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, Philip's an aggressive
with a steel
vegetarian.
chair.
Like
Aggressive.
militant. I would say militant vegetarian.
Okay, so Evie, knowing Alan and Jimmy far too well,
reads all the time,
is trying to get me and Brian to speak. So it's not just an Alan Jimmy show. So what are you reading, Brian? What are you reading, Brian?
No, these guys know each other, and I know I'm brand new to this, so I'll do my best not to elbow my way into too much.
No, you definitely have to. You have to force your way.
You have to. You totally
work my way into the box.
Just talk over them.
You got it.
Bother me.
I can be
actually, Brian. If you want, you can go like this to me, and I'll just mute the two of them.
Oh, that works. I love that idea. If I get volume control on these guys, there goes Alan. Goodbye. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. So what was the question? What am I reading?
Yeah, what are you reading? Evie wants to know what you're reading.
Okay, well, I'll make a story out of it. I decided to do something real strange in January and reached out to 7 booktubers and asked them to give me a book that they hated so much they DNF'd, and that became my TBR for January. So I am reading 7 books that our fellow booktubers like Mike and Tori and Philip and 4 others all said nope. And that's my TBR. I just finished the one Philip gave me.
You and Raf. Do you know Raf, Brian?
I don't.
Raf Blutox. He's a German dude. He decided over Christmas that he was going to do the whatever it was, 19 days of Dristmas.
The Dritz books are not as bad as he says they are. They're just not. Like, they're repetitive, especially if you read a bunch of them. I mean,
he was reading like one a day, so I think that's pretty. It's like self-torture. It's like hating yourself. I asked him why he hates himself.
Hang on, I would be surprised if anybody besides maybe Alan has finished or read the book that I just finished, which is The Worm Ouroboros by E.R. Eddings.
Alan has not read The Worm Ouroboros.
It was written prior to Tolkien, so.
Yeah, and it's written as if it was written in the 15th century, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Philip Chase gave you a book that he DNF'd.
Correct. The Worm Ouroboros.
And Chase DNF'd a book?
He did. That's why
I'm shocked
that's why I read it first.
Because
I was like, if the King of Kindness himself put a book down, this thing's got to be the worst thing ever. So I read that first, and now I'm on the 5th season, which Josh from Red Fury Books gave me as his DNF.
Great book.
So we'll see. There's real mixed opinions on the 5th season.
I was real mixed. I finished the first book and I DNF'd the series. I just couldn't. I don't know. I didn't care enough to continue. But Evie loves it. A lot of people love it. I know. I'm totally getting. I've gotten all the feedback on that. Just
right now I'm 25% in. I'm sort of in the Josh camp on the DNF, but that's kind of the point of why I'm doing this, is because I sort of want to figure out who do I align with here, at least on these books. But we'll see. 25% is not enough to judge it yet.
One of my very few real life in Berlin fantasy reading friends said, "Oh, if you want to know about some Tolkien influence, you should look at The Worm Ouroboros." And I bought it. I opened it, and I was like, "Dude, go to hell."
Yeah.
Why? Seriously?
Yeah.
I can totally understand.
It's rigorous. But you know
man.
what? I without spoiling too much of the results, I'm giving it a soft 4 out of 5. So we'll see. See how the rest go.
I mean, from what I've heard, the story actually ends up being pretty interesting, but the prose is tortured.
I don't know. I mean, I like Book of the New Sun like you do, so
Book of the New Sun isn't written anything like The Worm Ouroboros.
Yeah, but there's still vocabulary challenges. Everywhere.
That's true. What am I reading? Evie asked me as well, only because she knows what I'm reading and she just wants me to hold it up. I'm reading The Spear Cuts Through Water, which is a reread because it's awesome. It was my book of the year last year. It is so good. Have you two skeptical looking guys shaking your heads.
Read the
read it?
mid cuts through water. I have not.
Evie just threw something at her television.
Then you are not qualified to call it that.
I read Vanished Birds. I haven't read Spirit Cuts Through the Water, but Vanished Birds is a phenomenal book, I think. I would
got
like
on
to
my
read
shelf.
Spirit. I think Spirit Cuts Through the Water has a play in it though, and I'm kind of played out now. Because the play in Book of the New Sun about killed me.
No. You cannot compare the two at all. The play in the Spear is kind of only a framing device, and it's not. You never really get the whole play.
Okay, good.
It's sort of used as, so there's a play and then you're in a story, which is kind of the story that's being presented on stage, but you're not getting the description of it being presented on stage. You're just reading the story.
Interesting.
Which reads like a normal story, you know? So it's got some really, really interesting structural things going on. Like unique, absolutely unique.
So Jimmy did not like the play?
In Book of the New Sun?
Yeah.
No. No, I had no idea what was going on. I read it
thought
twice.
Paul Danders was going to win his best supporting giant in a comedic role.
I mean, I love Book of the New Sun. I do not like the play.
Gotcha.
I've
play
watched
is
so many
hard.
things. I've read so many things about it, and I'm just like, I still don't. I don't know. It is what it is. I have a friend that's read Book of the New Sun. I was like, you can just skip the play, like just skip it. Full sail. Forget it.
I mean, you kind of can. He's not
really-
wrong.
I've heard that if you have full series context, that it gets a bit more interesting. So maybe, once I finish this book 4, maybe I'll
go back to the
it.
play.
Yeah, but as far as
Yeah.
like the first time read through, I thought it was fairly miserable chapter to get through.
A lot of the play is foreshadowing in a way, like it relates to things that happen later. So, but I also was like,
Yeah,
faster. I'm not really soaking this up. Not really enjoying it much.
Yeah, especially because like right before the play, like one of the more interesting events happens, for Severian as a character, and then you just go to a play and you're like,
yeah,
what? Why are we doing this?
Everything stops. Yeah, just read the book. Yeah, it is really good. I find I was writing this on Discord just now. I find even on my second read, it's not the pacing of the book, it's the pacing of my reading that I'm very conscious of, because the prose is so beautiful and there's so much interesting stuff going on in the prose that I find myself reading slower than I normally would. Just because I'm stopping and like rereading a sentence and enjoying it. And Alan will dislike. I don't think that's a particularly bold prediction, is it?
I'll boldly predict I'll never read it.
Yeah, that's
He's never gonna pick it
probably
up. Probably
more accurate. Yeah,
I mean, it falls in his less than 300 page, category, at least Shadow of the Torturers. So yeah, you might give it a couple chapters.
Yeah.
Alan, there's Latin stuff in it.
There's a lot of Latin stuff in it.
Yeah, like, Latin right now.
Vocabulary.
I do.
You're in our Latin club.
I do.
You would love it.
I do. I'm currently reading a book that has Latin in it.
What is that?
I, Claudius, about the Emperor.
Oh, that's
Claudius,
right.
Who spoke Latin.
Did he really?
Could that be Alan's autobiography, I, Alan?
Sure. And
I like it.
The problem is that I, Claudius isn't actually about his reign as emperor. It's about everything leading up to his reign as emperor. So it's just about how horrible people treated him on the way up.
Oh, damn. Evie bought you Book of the New Sun and the reference guides?
Is that true?
That's very nice.
Is that true?
He said, "Is that true?"
Yeah.
I acquired those so long ago, so I don't remember if Evie
I think Evie apparently acquired them for you.
If she did, the little Amazon thing is still in the book, so I would know if when I picked it up and read it, but I don't know that currently. Like I've had that at least 2 years.
That's another good call. Jerome and I have been talking a lot about on and off about Ada Palmer's books. I discovered Ada Palmer because she wrote the intro to Book of the New Sun in the newest editions. And I thought, wow, it was normally a foreword. You just it's kind of boring, kind of skip through it quickly. She wrote an amazing foreword.
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, I want to know who she is. And I ended up picking up her series, Terra Ignota, which is the best science fiction that I've read in years. I won't say it's the best because Hyperion is at the top of my sci-fi list, but Terra Ignota is probably 2 or 3 under Hyperion.
Yeah,
think
it's one I'm
I-
going to try to start.
So good.
Kai just told me to read that.
And it has lots of Latin in it. That is
Okay.
true.
Okay.
And references to like ancient Roman culture, and it's such a good book, or books series. I haven't read the
Belton-
4th one yet. It's 4 books.
Beltube,
I
do
have-
you read a lot of sci-fi?
Yeah, some. I mean, I kind of go in waves where what I'm trying to do now is diversify kind of back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
So far, what I've talked mostly on the channel is probably 80-20 fantasy to sci-fi.
Yeah.
But I love
Okay.
Hyperion, and Dune's one of my all-time favorites. And
Okay, yeah, Evie, yeah. Okay, so
you know,
the
I
top
also
3 is Dune and not in this order necessarily. Dune and Hyperion and Terra
Ender's
Ignota.
Game.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put that in the top 3, but I like it. I mean, I liked Ender's Game, but not that good. Sorry, Brian, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was because you were
Jimmy.
asking, you were talking about Hyperion, and then Jimmy was asking about sci-fi, and I just thought it was striking how different the first, the books 1 and book 2 of Hyperion are so different from each other. I like them both, but really for different reasons. But that's one of your favorites, isn't it, Matt?
Absolutely, all
Yeah.
4 of them. I mean, I would. It's been a while. I was kind of thinking I'd like to reread the whole Cantos, the 4 books this year. There are so many things I keep saying I'd like to read this year because it's been a while. But Hyperion is certainly the book that I have recommended most in my life. I think I read it the first time like 20, 30 years ago. And every time anybody since then has said to me, I'm looking for something sci-fi to read, I'm like, have you read Hyperion? So I've probably gotten 20, 30 people to read it before I had a BookTube channel where I could talk to a few more than 20 or 30 people.
It's certainly popular.
I think it's sci-fi, but I also think it's a horror blend as well. I mean, there's sections
He writes
in
a lot of
Hyperion
horror.
that is plenty of horror in there. Yeah.
Yeah, the Shrike is terrifying. The sort of bad. You can't really call him bad guy, but yeah, there is a creature in Hyperion that is absolutely terrifying.
But I would consider that Priest Tale. I think it was the first one of the
God.
several
Yeah.
short stories. That
Yeah.
Priest Tale is all horror all the way, man.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody who doesn't know, Hyperion, or at least the first book of Hyperion, is basically the structure of the Canterbury Tales. So it's a bunch of people traveling together, and they are telling each other their stories of how they got to be on this trip and why they're on this trip. And beyond that, it goes beyond that Canterbury Tale structure, but it's really good. It's so good. Everyone should read Hyperion. Absolutely. It's 4 books. And I will not hear it said that the second ones are not as good.
Isn't it getting an adaptation? Right?
I've been hearing that for like 10 years on and off.
Why did I think it was like Bradley Cooper or somebody?
Yeah, it is. Bradley Cooper bought the rights. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And
I think it could be successful.
It could be amazing as a TV show, but I've heard so many times that someone bought the rights and someone wants to make a movie, TV show, something of Hyperion, that I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
You know,
that's fair. It's like Blood Meridian.
skeptical. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, no, actually, that's true. If you are a big Keats fan, Keats is a very important aspect of Hyperion. In fact, Keats is a character in Hyperion, no less. So if you love Keats, you should definitely read Hyperion. Awesome stuff, and very, very different from Dune, for example. Like, much more modern
totally
feeling. Yeah. And wildly different kind of characters and everything like that. It's so good. So good.
Was Keats also brought up? I don't know if any of you guys even read this. Kurt Vonnegut's Sirens of Titan. You read that at all?
Mm-mm.
For some reason, I think Keats was brought up in that book too.
Sirens of Titan. The cover of this book is amazing.
Yeah, Kurt Vonnegut's just an awesome dude to read anything about, but
Mhm.
for some reason, I thought Keats was in that too.
What are you reading right now, Jimmy?
I'm reading the fourth book in Book of the New Sun, and I am also reading The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Murakami.
Oh, cool. Have you read any Murakami before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel. I'm like 8 chapters in. I'm like,
that is the right answer, I think.
yeah,
pretty
it's something. I mean, people told me that the women's stuff was a little rough, but I didn't
Yeah.
expect a full chapter on complaining about the menstrual cycle, like 4 chapters in. It's like,
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Murakami's special in some aspects, but man, he's written. I haven't read anything by him in a long time, but I had a Murakami phase a while ago.
Have you read Wind-Up Bird Chronicle?
I have.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Overall, I don't think I would have called it one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Like I had a period where it's been years, so he's written things since then. But I had a period where I read everything he had published.
Oh, wow.
But
It's a lot.
yeah, but that was years ago, so it was less than it is now. But I just sort of I do that sometimes, like with contemporary fiction. Paul Auster, I also did the same thing. I read the New York trilogy. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I read everything he'd published in the next couple of years. And then Peter Carey, I did the same thing. And Murakami at the time, I did the same thing. And
What's your favorite Murakami novel?
It's kind of hard to say because it has really been quite a while, like 20 years. I think Hardboiled Wonderland.
That's the one that was recommended to me the most prior to this.
Yeah. I think Hardboiled Wonderland would be the one where I would say, yeah, that was pretty awesome. But it's been a very long time. Yeah.
I saw Evie's asking if I've read Glenn Cook, Black Company.
Yes.
I have not. It was recommended a long time ago. It's one of those like Malazan that I just haven't got to yet. At some point, I will. Yeah.
I finished Silver Spike, and Alan, I can't remember. Do you like Silver Spike? You think it's just okay,
I
right?
said it's fine.
Yeah,
But
it's fine.
I have always said that the Black Company as a whole is better than the individual pieces. Like when I'm done, I'm always like, what a fantastic series. But when I'm reading the individual books, like every time someone's reading, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like that one either. So here are the books that I like. I like 1, I like 2, I like 8, 9, and 10. All the other ones are fine. All the other ones are, I mean, they're fine. I actively dislike book 7. And I don't particularly care for book 6. But the other ones are fine. The others are fine. But
yeah, I thought Silver Spike was just
8, 9, and 10. She is the darkness, water sleeps, soldiers live. Boom goes the dynamite. So good.
I don't think I got to those because I think I had a similar opinion to you. And I got up into like the 5, 6 region and I was like, I'm kind of
5, 6, 7
over this.
5, 6, 7 for me is the slog, but about 3,000 pages less. So it's not a slog. It's just, I mean, they're just fine.
They're just not as good as others.
Correct, but they are in the process of getting to where everything kind of like comes together. And so again, every time I've read the whole series 3 times, and every time we finish it, me and my friend are always like, "That's such a freaking good series." So I think it is worth finishing, and it's not one of these things where like, "Hey, the Wheel of Time is worth finishing." There are many fewer pages here. Like this is worth finishing and will not cost you a year of your life. So
yeah, I will never read the Wheel of Time. I read just there are way too many books I know I will enjoy more, and I just won't waste my time on it for my personal tastes. But I also have a bit of a binge habit. So when I discovered Black Company years ago, I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is quite different from anything else I've read. And I just went bang, 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 one book after the other, nothing in between. And I think I just burned out on it And especially when I hit the books that aren't as good as the beginning, I was just like, okay, I need a break, and I never went back to it. But I want to reread it and get through the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm a masochist. I did the Wheel of Time consecutively over a period of about 4.5 months in 2021. I don't know what I did wrong that I was inflicting such pain on myself, but I think I just wanted to get it done and under my belt.
4.5 months?
4.5 months, yeah. But I didn't read anything else.
4.5 months for what?
Wheel of Time.
Okay, I read Malazan in 3 months.
Yeah,
so that's my similar claim
Like
to fame.
And I work from home, and when I did it, the product that I sell is really for people that are going out and about, and everybody was staying home. So there wasn't a real need for me to be working a ton because I couldn't due to the pandemic. So it's like, all right, guess I'm reading the Wheel of Time now.
Man,
I had the same thing. I got like girlfriend disappeared, and I unexpectedly lost my job in a sort of 2-3 month period, right about when the lockdown began. And reading Malazan was the thing that kept me sane. I literally, and not jokingly, I say, Stephen Erickson saved my life in 2020 because I was in a really bad place. The only thing I was doing was reading Malazan.
Wow.
And if you read Malazan all day, every day, you can read the whole thing in 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't necessarily recommend it, but it's possible,
Wow. Did you end up liking Wheel of Time? Reading it that fast? Like,
yeah, I did. Of course, anything like that, when we were talking about giant series, there's going to be some misses. There are definitely books that did not land for me at all. The Slog I looked at more as an adventure, like I was a character in the series itself, because in every adventure, there's a slog of something that nobody wants to go through, but they have to get to their final destination. And I kind of looked at the slog portion of the Wheel of Time as my hero's journey, so to speak, of getting through the series, that I'm going along with these characters through the muck and the misery.
You're also the guy who thought it would be a good idea to ask a lot of your friends what they DNF'd and then read those things. So I think my approach to the Wheel of Time is I just don't hate myself as much as you do. I think that's the difference.
We end up liking it. That's all good.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you loved it, then
I say if you take 4.5 months and then you hated it, that would have been
that is pretty hard.
Well, and I also think that there's a great sense of the fact that it's already done when I picked up book one made it easier, because I knew that just statistically speaking, there's no way that 14 books, all of them are going to be good. But at least it's not like when a lot of people were reading Dark Tower and they were waiting years and years between entries only to find out that, the book that came out sucked. And now it's like
Song of Susanna.
Exactly. Book 6, Dark Tower. I mean, I read the Dark Tower when the Dark Tower was complete. So it was great. Song of Susanna sucked, but I could just open page 1 of book 7. Boom.
We waited for a year, and then we had to wait for another year.
Yeah.
Brian, could you just stop holding back and tell us what you really think of Song of Susanna?
Song of Susanna does suck.
It does suck.
I like that book.
I actually like that book too.
I didn't have to wait.
I had to wait, but like I forgot that I had read the beginning of the Dark Tower. I read like 2 or 3 books a long time ago, and then there weren't any out, and I just forgot about the series completely until like 5 years ago.
Those last 3 books are like one book in my head. I know King supposedly had written them all together anyways, but like in my head, like I kind of think of the first books. I think of book 1, and then I think of 2, 3, 4, and then like 5, 6, 7. Like that's how it's broken up in my head.
Awesome.
I'm sort of with you, except for I think that books 6 and 7 are in that grouping, where I would put the Wolves of the Calla in that earlier bracket. But
Okay.
Matt, go read books. I got you beat. I read 250 pages and was like, nope, I can't do this.
The funny thing is that I had the original Eye of the World in mass market paperback a long time ago. And I decided to, when I decided to read Wheel of Time, I picked this thing up, a few years ago in my late 40s, couldn't read the damn thing. The print was too small now on the mass market paperback. I had to go get the bigger hardcover.
I don't know. I couldn't. I'm holding myself back because on streams I do the Sunday pub every Sunday, and people have started to say to me at the beginning of Sunday pub, can we not have anyone bashing Wheel of Time this week? So I'm holding myself back because all I'll say is I'll never read it.
There's approximately one event that occurs in Song of Susanna, and that's it. And whatever, otherwise just move on. You can just skip the whole thing. So I don't know why Philip's so obsessed with what happens in that book, but it's not.
But it's a gorgeous story.
What?
Even if not that much happens. But I'm a huge Robin Hobb fan. I mean, I love books where not that much happens. So
yeah. I also like books where not that much happens. Some of my favorite books are that it's every KJ Parker book. What happens here isn't interesting, and it's not talked about in an interesting way. It's just hey, what if we just all stood around and dealt with this situation that we have to deal with that everyone knows has been coming, but we thought wasn't going to be 300 pages worth of dealing with it, and so we could get back to the Journey to the Tower. Because guess what? Nobody cares. And you know what? Didn't even matter. Nothing that happens that matters. All that happens is the result of that. And then we go to the Dark Tower and something happens, and that's fine. But Song of
There's
Susanna,
a part of the Dark Tower 7 that's miserable, in my opinion. The Breakers.
Does it have to do with the priest?
No, the Breakers.
Oh my
right?
God!
That's book 7, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Jimmy.
I'm almost DNF that book. I was maybe I don't.
I did not. I've been reading too long, Jimmy. I've been reading too long.
Yeah, so you were 3 decades in. You had to go.
Can someone in the comments do me a favor and slap Andrew?
This is blatant. This is blatant flamethrowing.
Trolling. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's just trolling.
Wouldn't Andrew have had to have finished a book to know which one is the better series?
But it's Trad Pub. He doesn't like it.
Oh,
Shots thrown, Andrew, who doesn't have a microphone.
1-2 shot.
You want to come on, Andrew, and defend yourself? No, I'm
Combo.
kidding. You need to take these punches.
Yeah.
I'm not giving
Just
you a
sit
chance
there
to
and you're gonna
defend yourself.
listen.
Yeah, exactly. Rogue asked me a while ago if I DNF'd Attack on Titan yet. Damn, I'm close.
Where are you at in Attack on Titan?
I got the first omnibus, so the 3 volumes, and literally the first omnibus is Titans attack the city, 20 pages. Teenagers screaming and fighting Titans, but failing mostly. 400 pages. And then sort of a twist that isn't that interesting. It doesn't make any difference. The last 20 pages. And I'm like, is there a story at some point?
I mean, there is.
Yes.
Whether or not you like it is a different story.
So far, 3 volumes, there's no story.
Well,
The
here's
first half Attack on
There's
Titan.
screaming and fighting Titans.
the problem is that Aaron Yeager is the worst protagonist in anime history. I do not know of in all of my years of watching anime, I've never met a protagonist that I despise more than Aaron Yeager. Absolutely useless, and it doesn't get better. And yet, freaking Crunchyroll's a poll of the best character, which is clearly Levi, right, Jimmy? Not even close.
Who's Levi? Who's Levi?
You'll meet him in book 2, probably.
Oh, the best character in Attack on Titan. Okay.
Yeah, is Levi.
Okay.
And yet Aaron Yeager has a third of the vote. He's not the best character. It's not even close. Not even close to the best character. He's he's at the bottom. Maybe Armin's slightly under him, but other than that, Yeager. No,
Armin is pretty useless.
Armin's off.
Absolutely the bottom.
I hate him.
Armin is like pretty much everything in the book is either we are going to save humanity and sacrifice ourselves and die to fight Titans, or this is every single character, or I'm a coward. I don't know what to do.
That's Armin.
Yeah,
He cries.
It's not only Armin. It's half of the other characters. And strangely enough, it's almost all of the blonde characters are cowards, and almost all of the black-haired characters are kamikaze, I'll kill myself to save humanity idiots.
Go dark hair.
Not Irwin. No. Freaking Irwin, head of the Scouts. He's not a coward. He's blonde.
I don't know if he's there.
Yeah,
yet.
that's true.
Are
But
you
not
ready?
all of them.
Jimmy,
Yeah, no, he
Irwin
is.
has 3% of the vote. 3%.
here's the thing. And Beltube, I can see you staring off in the distance, like, what is this nonsense?
We'll
Attack
get
on
off of
Titan
Attack on Titan
as
shortly.
one of the coolest premises of any fictional story I've ever read. It also happens to have some of the worst events I've ever read. It is such a mixed bag, but I still stand on the fact that I think the first half of the series is just fantastic. I love
watched
it.
the anime.
I wish it was in novel form, and then I wish that they changed like everything in the last like half of the story. But
And the art in the manga is way worse than the art in the anime. I hate the art in the manga.
I actually
Manga.
like the art. That
it's
the art is the only thing that's been keeping me in it.
You like the art?
Yeah, I mean it's not at all typical manga art, and maybe that's why I like it. There's something about like, and I look at these things probably differently than a lot of people. I'm a designer. I've been a photographer. I'm very visual, and I don't know, just like the really, really fine lines and it uses white space in a really interesting way. Quite often, like big open areas with not that much in it, but in a way that where the composition actually says something. I mean, it's not my favorite art I've ever seen in any comic or anything, but I actually like it more than a lot of manga art.
I think the art gets worse as the series goes on. I think in the last season, it's awful.
I'm so looking forward to continue.
I don't like any of the art.
I don't think it's good, but I mean the anime is better. I think the art is not quite as ugly as some of the screenshots I've seen of pages.
Andrew also says didn't want to watch it, dislike the art.
I mean, I don't love the art.
Andrew, we agree on.
Somehow the chat while we were talking about manga was talking about Terry Goodkind. For some reason, it's always strange to me that there are people who like him, but apparently someone did. I don't know. I'm not going to search through the comments.
I never read him.
Find it. No, I've read enough to know. And also I've seen enough interviews with him to know. I don't think I want anything to do with this guy. But yeah. I was actually thinking about this just to stay on manga and bore Brian for another
poor guy
minute or two.
Hey, I'm getting paid by the minute. I don't know about you guys.
That's true.
This is awesome. I mean, I'm just rolling in the cash here.
Yeah, you get more the longer you stay.
That's what I've heard. That's what Mike told me. He said if you just go on someone else's live stream, YouTube sends you checks.
No, I mean I'm paying you, but I'm paying you in conversation.
Oh.
And the longer you stay, the more of it you get. So, Alan and Jimmy, I know that the two of you have a lot more experience with manga than I do. And I've talked about it recently on my channel. I have a couple of problems with manga that come up in not all, but a lot of manga. The over-the-top facial expressions and emotional expression, the totally bizarre, yeah, exactly, Jimmy. The totally bizarre comic relief characters, which usually don't seem like they belong in the story they're in. Like Vinland Saga is kind of mostly serious. And then there are these totally cartoony, ridiculous characters occasionally. Can you recommend manga that don't do that, or at least not too much?
Yeah, serious manga. It's got to be like, I mean, it can't be any kind of action oriented anime.
Yeah, see, I like action oriented.
Then you literally cannot escape it. Like that is like the action or anime. That is just what it does. Yeah, that's just what it does. You have to get something like hyper realistic, like Monster, like Jimmy just said.
K-Hud said Blame. Also recommended it to me recently in the comments. Blame is a great manga for me to check out.
I started it. It's very strange, very weird.
I'm down with strange and weird. That's fine.
It's pretty interesting. I haven't continued it, but I read the first volume and I was like, this is going to take a lot of attention to get through this. That's a bad thing, but also Alan knows way more about anime and manga than me. I'm a noob.
Tell me about Monster though, Jimmy. Someone mentioned that in the comments.
It's like a thriller, psychological thriller, crime type deal. Not really crime, I guess. More of like a thriller. So the big thing about Urasawa is that he's a big fan of Stephen King. So it's very Stephen King-esque in many ways. But it is In my opinion, it's probably my favorite manga from start to finish, even though Philip and Murphy absolutely destroyed it and hated it. I still think it's
They're not right.
fantastic. So there's a lot about the characters, and that is what I focused on. I have some of my favorite side characters that I've read. And yeah, it's just really good. It's about basically the idea that a doctor doing his job saving a life ends up saving someone who could be the worst person that's ever lived, right? It's the whole concept of like, if you went back in time, like, do you shoot baby Hitler? The answer is yes, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't understand the other side of that argument, but but it's kind of in that vein is I would say the driving question of the series, and like what makes a monster. And it's really good. I like it. Dr. Tenma.
Okay. Descending stories, Philip says.
Trying to bait me,
okay.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I wanted you to do it. I wanted you to do your Dr. Tenma.
Dr. Tenma.
That's exactly what it sounds like in the anime. It's so good.
When did manga become kind of as mainstream as I see it here in America? Because I was a giant comic book reader my whole life. I probably stopped right around about 2000. But in a comic store, manga was either non-existent or off in some corner somewhere. Has BookTube kind of brought those elements in, or has that been there since the 90s and 2000s? I've just
as someone who's of a similar age to you, Brian, I have to say you were maybe not going to the right comic stores.
Could be.
I mean, back in the 90s.
I mean, I was banned from several of them. I don't know.
What'd you do?
What?
What'd you do to get banned?
He asked for manga.
Stood there and read the comics instead of bought them.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Extraordinarily.
So maybe those Mylar bags, didn't need to be on the expensive comic books, and they could just be discarded casually as I browsed.
There was back in the 90s. There was some, like, I read Lone Wolf and Cub back in the 90s. That's been around for ages, and that's manga. But yeah, no, it's become a bigger thing. I was Jimmy looked like he was itching to answer that.
Oh, I just think that it's more exposure, and like anime has been very popular. I mean, Dragon Ball Z obviously was huge, but when you look at like the popularity of certain like properties outside of the United States, and really like just in general kind of the West, it's insane how big some of these things are. Like, I just found out today, and I'm sure Alan's known this for years, but I didn't know that there's like a One Piece themed airport or some madness, or there's like a Luffy statue, and like it is humongous. Like you can't really quantify how big it is to something in America. I don't think I don't think there's anything quite like it. So I think it's more just exposure over time, most likely. And I think the internet probably had a huge thing to do, but Alan has been watching anime for what, 30 years?
I watched, like, woke up Saturday mornings, watched Robot Carnival, Akira, Project A-ko, whatever anime the Sci-Fi Channel would show on Saturday mornings. And then Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z were the two that got localized over here on television. And that is when I learned about that when stuff is localized, they change it. Because I watched all of Sailor Moon, and I love Sailor Moon. And then I realized how much they changed in the third season, because Professor Tomo in the third season is like a huge perv and like looks up people's panties and stuff, which is pretty standard in anime. None of that was in the dub. None of that was in the dub that came over here. And it's not like,
which is not too surprising.
I mean, I know, but I mean, I didn't know that then. I mean, as a kid. And that's not the only thing they cut out. They cut all the blood and stuff and anything like that. But I mean, we went to Suncoast and bought our paid $30 for our anime VHS tapes that had 3 episodes on them, and the full thing made like a picture. I remember buying Fushigi Yugi one videotape at a time until I got the DVDs. Once eBay came, everything was glorious because people would burn DVDs of the Japanese with the dub. Yeah, seriously. So I had every single Sailor Moon episode, and I still have the entire thing of Fushigi Yugi. Like it's burned well, like it's in a good packaging. It's not like in a clear plastic case. But it's got both the Japanese and the English on it. So I've liked it forever and was made fun of constantly. And then anime, just like Dungeons and Dragons and everything else, has been commercialized. It's been
Popularized.
it's been celebritized, where it's become this big thing that now
Now
look
you're
at
cool.
Yeah, now it's cool. And I'm like, why don't you go sit on it and rotate, like Potsy? Get out of here with this crap. So
Maggie says manga and anime is pretty big in Germany. I can confirm. My friendly local comic store, which is probably the best comics in English store in Germany. Shout out to Black Dog. They're awesome. They have a huge, like 3-4 meter wide, meters are approximately yards wide shelf, which is just manga. So yeah, it's definitely, oh yeah, Star Blazers, of course. Jared and I are of a similar age, so yeah.
So am I. I don't remember.
I watched
Star
Star
Blazers,
Blazers
though.
when I was a kid. Yeah, absolutely. Rent VHS tapes of Ranma, copy it onto his own.
I remember the dual VCRs. I remember those days.
Yeah, Astro Boy. Yes, I watched Astro Boy when I was a kid as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Philip remembers Star Blazers, so
I don't remember
it
Star
must have
Blazers.
been good.
No,
Weird.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I don't know.
Kakarot, I'll destroy you, Kakarot. Just for like
Dragon Ball Z was the most formative medium for me ever.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
not medium, but story. That was
the
it.
Frieza fight. 30 episodes for them to
And they
throw
did,
a-
and they only had action in 4 of them. 30
Oh,
episodes
God,
for
ridiculous.
4 episodes of action is so ridiculous.
I actually stopped.
Worst paced show ever.
I stopped watching DBZ after the Frieza arc because I'm like, man.
So
I
the
cannot
opposite of Attack on Titan.
Yes, the
Like
exact.
it had a story but no
Yeah.
action, and Attack on Titan has action but no story.
Bro, there was like 15 episodes of people just yelling, going, ah, ah, just like, it's like they were changing gears, dude. It was so ridiculous. I'm not joking. Like,
Actually,
it's
that does
so-
sound a lot like Attack on Titan, to be honest. Like
Well,
all they're doing is shouting the
but
same
the
things
the
over and over
voices are
again.
more bassy, so it's not as
Okay.
annoying.
I haven't watched Attack on Titan. I've only been reading the manga, and I just
The show is
I-
better, by the way.
okay,
Much
all right.
better.
Armin
All right.
cries in it every episode.
Aaron, I can't do it anymore. Like just
I
just put one.
is that what his English voice sounds like?
Roughly, yeah. I'm in the ballpark. It's awful. It's terrible. So, Brian, when are you gonna start Attack on Titan now? You gonna
Yeah.
get into your manga phase now?
All these
No,
recommendations.
I think going to Hebrew school and having to read books from right to left has turned me off to that style for a long time. I don't know. I think there's probably a better chance of me going back to reading more DC and Marvel comics than I think ever getting into manga. I don't know. I think just in listening to you guys talk, I can tell that there's probably about a 10 to 15 year age gap from the time that I was 8 or 9 or 10. And certainly Alan and you, Jimmy, because just those shows didn't exist. I mean, I remember getting out of college and I think Dragon Ball Z was maybe just coming. Is that like mid 90s ish? Maybe.
I want to say yes because that's when I was a kid, but I don't know when it first really. But yeah, like it blew up in especially the late 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was out, running around town doing stuff, not
Productive things.
destructing and all. Yeah, exactly.
I was giving myself a hemorrhoid in my basement trying to go Super Saiyan.
There.
I can recommend Brian if you would want to try manga. Lone Wolf and Cub.
He doesn't want to.
It doesn't have any of the weird emotional expression stuff. It doesn't have any over-the-top comic relief. It's set in Edo, Japan, so it's historically actually really interesting, and the art's really good.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
if it's a
and
cool
it's been
story, I'm down.
reorganized.
Yeah,
If you buy it in English, it's been reorganized, so it reads left to right, front covers where our front covers would be, etc. So
Don't do it, Brian.
it doesn't
Don't
feel
do
like manga at all.
Manga's
stay
too-
away.
It's
Is
too
it a
expensive.
gateway? Is it a
It's too
gateway drug,
expensive.
It's a
Jimmy?
gateway.
Am I
And
gonna
it's
find
so
myself?
cheap.
I'll
Am I
even
gonna
I'll even
find
sell,
myself on
send
eBay
you the
looking up
first
90s
omnibus
anime?
for free. I'll send you the first omnibus for free.
Okay,
Yeah.
deal. I'll send you. Yeah, that's cool. I'll try it. I'll try anything really. I mean, if I'm doing stuff like a DNF challenge, yeah, sure, I'll read.
That's true. That's true. If you're doing that, then
What about drugs? Would you try
why the hell
drugs?
wouldn't
Only
Yeah.
all of them.
it? He didn't get the drug dealer thing I was doing.
Jimmy
there.
doesn't know I was a nightclub owner for the last 16 years prior to the pandemic. So
Oh
yeah,
my god! What kind of nightclub was it?
dance club, big house music dance club.
Are you a big dancer?
No, but I liked getting paid while other people danced and buying booze and all that good stuff.
Dude, that's wild. So you don't do that anymore?
No. So when the pandemic came, the landlord basically told me, yeah, you guys have been here for 16 years, but we have our own obligations to pay. So you still have to pay the rent, whether the state allows you to be open or not. And I just said, well, good luck with that. We'll see
Yeah.
it later. And then I took a walk. But oh yeah, I think I might actually start adding some stuff into my weekly or whatever bi-weekly BellTube update stuff, with kind of like a nightclub stories segment,
That would be
because
cool.
I have a million of them.
Tell him what you do now, Brian.
I own a company called Bell Flask, and I do it with my dad. And we've got 3 patents. We've got a 4th one pending on a flexible pouch, which basically holds 16 ounces of liquid, but gets past every metal detector. It rolls up and collapses when you're done. It's done very well. We're probably pretty consistently in the top 10 drinking flasks sold on Amazon in North America. So it's worked out pretty well.
Cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I knew a lot about packaging from my pre-nightclub years. And so I kind of took a little bit about what I knew from packaging into what I learned about the booze business and combined them and came
Was
up
it the
with
cocaine trade? Were you packaging cocaine?
only all of it.
I was a karaoke DJ for a while, and so
Oh,
I used
cool.
to do nightclubs on off nights and stuff. And those are some
Was
of
that
the
before or
wildest nights.
after the wrestling or during?
It was during. I did a lot of stuff.
Were you
Yeah.
doing it like topless, like that photo you sent me?
No, not
Okay.
quite. Not quite that bad.
right.
Though I did have many offers to have other jobs within the nightclub communities that I ended up turning down.
Yeah, karaoke DJing, you have to have a personality for it, because part of the time I would suspect that you have a crowd of people who don't want to be the first one, and
Yeah.
maybe they don't want to be the second one, and maybe they want to let that 3rd or 4th drink kick in before they go. So I think there's some hospitality required to be a karaoke DJ, because you got to get people into that party mind. Someone's got to go first, right? So
Yeah, and there's always one dude that's drunk and thinks that he does better than Ezra, the best ever. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, dude, please, I wish you wouldn't stop coming.
And you have to put him on the floor.
Yeah, I
Which
used
is
to.
where
I
the
did
wrestling comes in handy.
bro. I did a karaoke thing for a teacher event, actually, Alan, and they were the most wild, insane group we ever did. This lady came over and knocked over all of the equipment, and I just packed up and left. I literally was like, I'm done.
I'm out.
Like, I'm just leaving.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
They were kindergarten teachers. It was for a conference. It was insane.
They're the worst. Teachers are the worst.
I know, they complain about having the summers on. It's like, come on.
You're muted, Alan.
I don't hang out with teachers.
I
wouldn't
see
either.
why. Honestly, they were wild, dude.
Okay, so there are too many teachers that don't know anything, or and I don't know. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk bad about teachers on the internet. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hang out with teachers. Like, I mean, that's that what you just described, Jimmy, is like a stereotype, because it happens.
Is it?
Yes. Like, yes, it is. Which is why I have nothing but contempt for that story you just shared.
I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
mean
not-
it.
It's not your fault. I have contempt for the people in that story.
Oh, me too. They broke a lot of stuff. It was ridiculous. That was one of my last DJing events. Actually, I stopped after like very close after that because I was like, I'm kind of tired of drunk people. So,
Well,
Brian, I
yeah.
don't know how you did it for so long. That's crazy.
And karaoke DJing's tougher too because you're not going to have anybody that has house gear ready for you to just show up and do your job. You're going to bring it. You're going to schlep everything with you to every gig, and every gig's going to be different.
In the setup and
Yeah.
outlets and everything else. So
That's
I
right.
worked with a group of people. So like we all kind of like it was like you pitch in and then like you share the stuff. And
Sure.
I will say it was really good money, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It was well worth it for me for 4 hours of work. At the time, it was a lot of money for me because I was working at Best Buy full time and I would do that. And then I obviously had wrestling as well. So that was probably per hour the most lucrative.
Aggressively ask people if you could help them when you were at Best Buy instead of just leaving people alone to look at a computer.
It depended on my mood.
Part of the job, isn't it?
Have you guys been to those restaurants where you stick the coaster one way if you want service and the other way if you don't want service?
I love that.
That's what they need at Best Buy. I want to walk in and get a
pubs.
medallion, and I want to have the blue out if I want help from 40 people that are standing around, and I want to have a red one for leave me the F alone. I walk through the
There's a
store.
tradition in Cologne, in Germany, which is a big beer brewing town. I mean, everywhere in Germany is a big beer brewing
perfume.
town, basically. No, Cologne is. They have a beer brewing tradition there, where there was a law, and I think this is like late Middle Ages. There was a law that if you had a brewing establishment, a brewery, you had to have a pub attached to it, right? You had to offer to the public to drink what you were brewing. And the guys, and by the law, the guys who brewed the beer had to serve the beer. And they hated it. So there is still today, I've been in pubs in Cologne that work like this. There's still today a real tradition of these dudes who are the grumpiest bastards you'll ever meet in a pub serving beer. They won't talk to you. And what you do is you go in, you don't go to the bar, you sit down in the room in the back, and they come around and will just, if you're sitting, they will put a glass of beer on your table, right? They only serve beer. And they'll put a glass of beer on your table. And if your glass of beer is empty, they will, as they go by your table, without asking you, they will take it and put another glass of beer down. And they will keep doing this until you put a coaster on top of your glass. And then they will leave it there for the rest of the night and not bring you any more beer. But if you don't know that, you just get beer that you have to drink and pay for all night long. It's crazy.
I'm a big fan of like optional service. I'm a very big fan of that. That's a great idea. I wish more people talked to me at Barnes and Noble when I went in. Like I go to the bookstore, nobody wants to talk. And I'm like, I would love to talk to somebody.
Well, let me tell you, last week I went to Barnes and Noble because I wanted to get that black leather-bound edition of Shogun that I've seen on the interwebs, and I couldn't find it, of course.
All the cool kids have it.
I asked the clerk, who looks like she's been there as long as I was in the bar business, where I could find the black hardcover edition of Shogun. And I said, because they seem to be out. I'm not sure if they're out of print. I know that there's a tie-in coming with Hulu. I don't want that one. I want the old one. She looks at me, and I kid you not, square in the eye, and she says, that book's been out for 1 million years. You had your chance.
I respect that. That is hilarious.
I was scolded by the Barnes and Noble.
Well, everyone had that copy. That copy is not good, guys. It's fine to have on your shelf. It's not a good reading copy. Like it's just not. Like the outside of that fools you into thinking the inside of that is better than it is. Just get
it's not a very special edition.
I'm taking solace in Alan's words because
it's just not like the paper quality is not good, and the way I don't like the font and the size of the font, and I do not like it. I like the red MMPB. That's what I like. But I mean, I like the MMPBs and everyone else does. And I love, where was all the love for Shogun last year when I was reading it? Where was that? Oh, I'm sorry. A TV show has to come out for anybody to care about a good book? That's ridiculous. Like, I read it last year with And I'm like, hey, anybody want to read Shogun? No, Shogun is too long. I'm not going to read that. And it's been out for too long, and I'm not interested in the topic. And then now all of a sudden, Hulu's putting it out. So now everyone's going to read Shogun. Get out of here. Everyone plays D&D.
Alan, that there was a pretty big Shogun read-along last year amongst booktubers?
Yeah, I did that.
Right.
Like in January.
Yeah. Like a year ago, before
Yes.
anyone was talking about the TV show. So what are you going on about?
I'm talking about there were like 5 people that read it with me. And now
I was reading it with you.
If it makes you feel any better, I won't ever read it, probably.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to read it out of spite now.
Dude, the only way that story would have been better
Screw that book.
is if that lady would have also then just spoiled the story for you.
Right?
She's like, and furthermore,
I'm
Gandalf
surprised she didn't
died.
hand me a samurai sword to do the
All you
ritual
need to know.
suicide
Do the
for not
honors.
buying the book on time.
Yeah, let's talk about this mass market paperback love. What's up with that?
I don't understand. Like people hate mass market paperbacks because they're freaking elitist and bougie, and they don't like that they're ugly.
No,
All right, that's ridiculous. That's
that
ridiculous.
is totally ridiculous. I hate it because of how it
Why?
feels in my hands. I don't like the physical reading experience of a mass market
So
for
I don't
big
understand-
books. For big
I don't
books.
understand why everyone gets onto me then when I'm like, I like the physical experience of reading a mass market paperback. Everybody's like, oh, that can't be true. But it doesn't have the flop. It doesn't have the flop. I don't give 2 craps about the flop. I care about being able to read the bloody book, and every single book that is not a mass market paperback.
Alan, you hit the mute button on your mic.
Your audio just went out.
I love how
It's
his
really
computer
funny
knows
watching you rant with
his
no
computer
audio, but
is on rant
your
control.
audio is off. I swear
It
I
is
didn't-
because
I
when
didn't
my
mute him.
mic fell,
didn't
I
mute him.
hit the mute button setting it right. Like my
Yeah.
mic dropped.
The
It
AI
wasn't- it
of
wasn't me.
StreamYards.
It wasn't
It
me.
like that. And
I
when
was,
I
I was
AI.
tempted. I was tempted, but I
restrictor
did
plate.
not mute him.
Look, there is no book that I can read faster in a different format than a mass market paperback. I can always read mass market paperback
I wish.
faster than everything else. And I don't actually think everyone hates mass market paperback on the internet. I think it is one of these things that becomes this mass hysteria because everyone else talks about how much they
conspiracy.
hate mass market paperbacks. Mass market paperbacks
I
are
love
awesome.
when they're well printed. I love them. For instance, this is a great mass market paperback. The
That's
font
the
is
only
big
book
enough
I'm
I
not
can
going to read
actually
in mass
read,
market paperback. Or
which
ever.
is ridiculous.
Or ever.
ridiculous.
I'm not going
So
to read it.
ridiculous.
I would hate that
It's
book.
you would love it. It would literally you would love it. It would be your book of the year.
Which book is that?
I haven't
Rise
read.
of Agamora. It is
Oh,
the
love
most
that.
Alan book
Yeah,
ever.
that's great.
I haven't read Greatcoats yet, but I know that Alan loves Greatcoats. And from everything I've heard about Greatcoats, if you love Greatcoats, why would you not love
Because he
Gentlemen
hates
Bastards?
because he wants me to be sad. That's why.
So it's just
Is that
personal
why?
targeting.
It's just
Jimmy.
to spite me.
He's not
It's just
reading
to
out of
spite
spite. That's
Yes.
I was
Got it.
about to read it, and then someone did something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not reading it now." I forget what it was.
did something.
Someone did
I
something.
don't even remember
You
what.
can't even remember what it was, but
Look,
it left an
Look,
impression.
the motto on my coat of arms is "No grudge too small." That's written in Latin on my family coat of arms. There is no grudge too small to hold.
J.A. Petty Walker is actually Alan's.
That was actually when my my ancestors first came to this country in the settlement of Jamestown. That was actually their
With their boxes of mass market paperbacks.
correct. That's actually why they didn't come over because they they wanted to inhabit the new land. They were actually expelled from the old country because of their love for
Because
mass
they
market.
read mass market paper. Yeah,
Right.
everybody
By
was
all-
into
by all the
trades, and they were like,
bougie-
"Get the hell out of here!"
Bougie hardback and floppy paperback people. I hate that
Special
shit.
editions, they're the worst.
Oh
People who
my
collect
God.
special editions, they
Special
are.
editions are fine, but they're out
disgusting.
of control and they're not fun to read. Boom.
Yeah,
That's
they're
my-
shelf pieces. They're not. You're not going to read, the Folio
Folio is
Society
pretty
stuff,
readable.
and but yeah,
I get-
Folio has some
Folio,
very,
yeah,
very
You're correct.
good.
Folio is
Yeah.
the man.
Yeah, Folio rocks.
But my
I scored
subpresses are definitely unreadable. Like I can't.
They're
read
hit
them.
or miss.
I'm
I have
afraid-
one. The Books of Babel ones are readable, but the Malice
they?
one I have is not really.
Well, their variance in their printer is absurd. The quality variance between subpress editions is unacceptable for the price that they charge. It drives me crazy.
Scott is here. I haven't seen Scott in ages.
Scott.
Hi, Scott.
He had a stream this morning, and I was hoping to catch it. I didn't realize how early it was.
Okay. So Scott's back at it. That's very, very good to hear.
Oh,
Good to see you, Scott.
Philip said I'd like Lockelmora, so I can't
Yep.
read it
Nope.
now.
Obviously.
It's just it's just a fun, it's not earth shattering, but man, is it fun.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, it's about royalists. I didn't realize I was a fucking royalist. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, now it's really out.
No, hold on. I'm a royalist. I love them.
That's right.
Oh, see, now
Yeah.
you got to read it. Oh my God, so many confusing.
Yeah.
I've got to read it.
Yeah, the royalists were not the ones sent to America by any means.
Oh, apparently I have packages behind me. Live
And Evie
unboxing.
said
of
live
baby
unboxing.
stuff. It's baby.
So is everybody in agreement with Derry? Is everybody a special edition reader or just a collector?
Yeah, collecting and reading are two different hobbies for sure.
Yeah. But I mean you can collect and read special editions.
You can't. I'll tell you what I do a lot of times. If it's illustrated, I'll like be reading my normal copy, and then I'll go and flip and check out the illustrations. Or if there's a chapter I really like, maybe I'll just, I don't know, like a random night, I'll just sit down and read that chapter out of the special edition, which is cool. But it just depends. I read all of A Song of Ice and Fire out of my editions of the ones I had from Folio, but like I've never read the sub press ones I own because I'm terrified of doing something to it.
If I had paid for a sub press ever, I would also be a little scared.
Yeah.
My cat would come and sit on it or something and then jump off of it and tear a page.
I mean, I think I'm just as likely to get an ebook if I'm going to get the collector edition. Just out of shelf space reasons, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still there. It's on the shelf, probably displayed, but not overtaking up the real estate.
I've been on I've started giving myself a Tolkien mission to collect all of the slipcase editions of all of the Tolkien stuff, and I will read those except for the Lord of the Rings, just because it's a table book. It's like all of the books in one. It's one big book, and it's just too damn big. It's uncomfortable to read. But a lot of them, like the Fall of Numenor and all of the Tolkien lore ones, they're very readable and very nice editions.
Yeah, and I guess it just depends on like what because like the Dune new release that came out, and like those look really cool. They're readable. Like it's just a hardcover.
I just got those. Yeah,
they're very normal, but they look great.
Messiah. Yeah,
they look really cool.
Yeah, and they're gorgeous, and they're totally readable hardcovers. So everyone's curious, Alan. Someone loves you, apparently.
Is it pizza?
Inside the box were 2 more boxes, and that's where I draw the line.
I swear, I hope there's more boxes inside those boxes.
Just like you won't read Gentlemen Bastards, you will not open more than one layer of box.
Open one thing. Now I got
screw the boxes in the boxes.
I don't have the energy. You are.
Oh no! You got to stay ready, Alan. You got to stay ready, bro. You never know what's going to happen.
I don't know what that means.
Me either.
I
had someone tell me at jiu-jitsu that, and he's like, "You know what I mean?" I was like, "No, I have no idea what we're talking about."
Jimmy, we just had a Brazilian jiu-jitsu studio open up here. I'm gonna take it, and then
you're gonna go.
I'm gonna get my brown belt before you.
There's not a chance.
Were you tempted, Jimmy? Were you tempted, Jimmy, by the Perdido Street Station?
Oh, I got it because I don't have
so
a very good edition. I actually had the feathered edged one, which I despise. Yeah. I hate feathered edges. Is it feathered? Is that how it's
deckled?
I wasn't even in the same
deckled edges.
Oh, deckled. Yeah, I hate them. I absolutely hate them. When I first started getting books, I always thought they looked cool, and I was like, I like those. And then I got them, and I was like, I hate these. So yeah, I did. And it was affordable. It was like what, $30-$40, I think.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad. And I love Perdido Street Station. So yeah, I hope they continue. I hope they do the Scar and Iron Council. I would love to have the Scar.
Do the whole trilogy. I'm waiting hungrily for them to do the Malazan books.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that ends up panning out, man.
I'm really curious how they're going to do it. Like whether they're going to do a book every year or something for the rest of my life, or whether they're going to be like, boom, here's 10 or 5 or something.
Yeah,
don't know.
I imagine a lot of it'll probably have to do about sales, right?
Definitely sales.
Yeah.
Like we could get the book 4 and then never make another. Like that's totally possible.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
Especially because I think Malazan, for the most part, outside of the SFF community, who knows about it, right? I mean, as bad as the Wheel of Time show is on Prime, Amazon has put hundreds of millions of dollars in through all their platforms in advertising this thing. So there's and same with Game of Thrones, obviously, but Malazan's just, I don't know that it's got the support for funding a series like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, in the fantasy community, it's pretty well known and respected series,
right?
But yeah, it's not a widespread phenomenon like Game of Thrones or something.
Right.
It's also sold far less than these other, even before the Wheel of Time show. The Wheel of Time sold what, 70 million? No, it was 70 million before he died. I think it was 90 million before the show came out. And I want to say Malazan, and I might be wrong, but I feel like Malazan as a series has sold like 4 to 6 million, I think.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Which is a ton. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But,
but
that's
not
the same level as
but it's an order of magnitude different for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just massively different. I want to say Game of Thrones was 10 or 20 million before the TV show. And then obviously after TV show, it sold like 100 mil. But yeah, that's what I've always said. I love Malazan, but like we're fooling ourselves if we think it's not a niche
name
series
or anything.
Yeah, and it's also just niche. Like it is what it is, and maybe it's better for that, possibly.
Yeah. The Malazan Sapper, whoever that is, I don't think I've seen them in my chat before. I was glad someone knows who Mieval is. Who's read China Mieval? I know Jimmy has.
Yeah,
just me and Jimmy. I know Britton was talking about it recently as well. Yeah. We had a chat about Mieval recently.
Yeah, City in the
recommended.
City. Yeah, City in the City is a good place to start if you don't want to get into Baslag immediately. It's a very short, like crime thing. I don't know how to really explain it, but it's about 2 cities that aren't supposed to acknowledge one another, but they're like kind of overlapping. But it's very strange, but it's really good. I like it a lot. It's more of an urban fantasy setting. It's like an imaginary place in our world, in Europe, Eastern Europe. I can't remember. That doesn't really matter. Europe. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't have much to do with real places, but it certainly has a lot to say about our world. And like I said, it's very short, and I think it shows off a little bit of what China Mieval's about. So I'd recommend people start there, or go to the Baslag series and just do Perdido Street Station and the Scar and Iron.
If you like Frankenstein, steampunkish stuff.
Yeah,
weirdness.
Sure,
a story that takes place in a city. It's a totally urban.
I'm a giant
story.
urban fantasy fan. So
you would like it. I think
you would probably love Perdido Street Station. I mean, it's a trilogy as well, so it's not just the one book.
Adrian Tchaikovsky. I always say his name wrong, so if I said it wrong, I'm sorry. But he is clearly inspired a ton by China Mieval. Like it's obvious.
I will add them to TBR Mountain.
Let's go.
Yeah. Perdido Street Station is awesome. It's been a really long time since I read those, and I would like to reread them, but I've been saying that far too much in the last year or two.
Mieval also has a lot of nonfiction about like French art. If you guys are into that, he's a very interesting guy.
He's super political as well. I've read a lot of interesting interviews and articles with him. That was something that kind of bothered me with Baslag is at the end, Iron Council starts getting a bit political in ways that I just wasn't that interested in.
I don't think. I don't know if I agree. I think it certainly has politics involved, but I don't think he's like punching you in the face and saying like really
no. It wasn't necessarily over the top. It was just I remember there were bits of it where I was like, can we move on to the more interesting stuff?
I mean, Iron Council is the most divisive of the 3, but I like it because it's about revolutions and how revolutions don't always take place during the correct time periods. I think that's really interesting, and I think it's true. So I kind of like that. But Iron Council, without a doubt, is the most challenging of the 3 books and the most polarizing.
Apparently, this person, whose name I will not try and pronounce, sorry, says that Broken Binding has been planning on releasing them in threes. I had not heard that.
Yeah, that's
Okay, well, that's not going to work.
they're
All
going to
the way
stop at
through.
9. They're going to stop.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
That would
Like
be
Crippled
that'd be
God,
awesome.
it's too thick. We're not going to print
Everyone's
it.
favorite book, The Crippled God. Yep.
Yeah, Crippled
You
God.
get the mass market paperback for
It's
Alan.
not actually that good. It's kind of mid. So
I
you know,
own
we're
the
not-
entire series in mass market paperback.
See?
It's the
So do
only
I.
way read it.
So do I. But only because in Germany I can only get the mass market paperbacks. There are no trades.
That's the kind I have, and I don't want the trade paperback. Why would I want a book that big?
Yeah,
It's too heavy to carry around.
especially. I mean, it's actually, I think, specifically Malazan is what has made me kind of hate mass market paperbacks, because I find it much more manageable if a book is like 1,200 pages. I find it much more manageable if it's a little bit larger and therefore thinner, because you're spreading the words over bigger pages, so the whole book ends up thinner. And I just find that somehow more, I don't know. Mass markets kind of annoy me if they're too thick. I don't mind them if they're like 200, 400 pages or something, but
Well, now hold on. Now the mass market paperbacks I'm talking about, just for anybody here, there is the new mass market paperbacks ruin. Like, I don't like them. I'll read anything that isn't those. The tall ones that
Yeah,
are
those suck.
and their spines are off. Like, those are the worst. Those are awful. I don't know why that we've decided to do that in recent years, and that's the only kind of paperback that exists now. I hate those. Like,
I don't know what those are.
They're taller and less wide.
Yeah,
And they're really difficult to read.
Like the one that Jimmy showed.
No. These
Uh-huh.
ones,
Okay.
it's honestly ridiculous to explain it because it's a nonsense format, and the Discworld books are in it, and that's one of the reasons why I don't have Discworld, because
they have
every
new
time
ones. They have a new set of paperbacks that don't suck, but they're like
oh
floppy paperbacks. Yeah.
I had to get when I thought, okay, I want to start Discworld, I had to get the sort of whimsical hardbacks, because that format I find very charming.
they're cool, yeah,
and they're not very expensive. Like
No.
they like in my local bookshop, which is awesome. Shout out to Otherland. They had a whole bunch of those, and they cost about what a paperback cost.
yeah. I started ordering those
I
from
was
Book
like,
Depository, but then
I'm
they
only getting
closed,
those.
so I haven't got any more since, because
Yeah.
Book Depository had free shipping, so it really
Right.
was. It was just as cheap for me than going to Books A Million or a local bookstore.
Yeah.
But those, I do like those editions. They're very readable. They look great on the shelf. They have charm.
They have a ribbon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. Ribbon's big, man. Whenever a special edition doesn't come with a ribbon, I get very upset. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You called this special?
Yeah.
So this is the one I'm talking about that sucks.
The green one.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
taller
Okay. So it's
and it's skinnier, and like it's just awful. Like, to read, like you have to like
Right.
pry it open.
and the layout, the typographic layout is also kind of pants, because
They're really tall. It's super
And
the
this-
tall.
gutter is way too narrow. Like the
Sure.
space where the spine is,
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
terrible.
space. The text just flows right into the spine. That's horrible.
It's terrible.
And this
Wow.
is what, and at least in the U.S., this is what mass market paperbacks are nowadays. Like,
I haven't
all of them are like-
Dresden.
in
Uh,
Europe. I have not seen those anywhere ever.
That's why we have to order when I order the paperbacks, I have to order the European ones for Dresden. I have to order the European
Yeah.
Dresdens, because all of the Dresdens are this in America. It's
And
I'm
there
glad,
ha-
I'm
there
glad
has
to
be
hear it
something
actually,
with
but because
efficiencies.
as someone who lives in Europe, I'm constantly looking at things that you can get easily in America and thinking, "Oh, I want one of those. Oh, it costs $25 postage. I will not get that." I'm glad that Americans occasionally have to order from Europe as well. Misery
I-
loves company.
I would think that there has to be something with book production efficiencies
Yeah.
that is just behind the scenes that we don't know about, that is creating that weird width to height ratio, because
That is really
nobody
strange.
would just flat out say, let's make a book like this because there's got to be a financial reason behind it. But it's a bad one, because I think they're going to end up selling less books.
I agree.
People buy less books anyways. I mean, why? I don't know why these book printers would do something to save a few bucks on the printing of a book when the genre is competing with more things than ever now. I mean, it used to be TV and movies. Now it's streaming and gaming and everything else. So I would think that they would want to make reading a little bit more accessible if they've got the gear.
This right here is my 1,200 page Guy Jen, and let's take a look at that font size, shall we?
Oh my God,
that's absurd, dude. That is so bad.
I wish I had your eyes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking.
You're gonna wish you had never bought that in about 10 years, Alan.
No, okay. So I did not. I went to the eye doctor last year because I got to go every year, so they'll give my dang contacts. They literally won't give my contacts and it's always the same prescription. And she's like, "So has your like close-up vision started messing up?" I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "That happens to everybody." I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "Yeah, like eventually everyone has trouble focusing close up." I'm like, "You mean like when my dad takes a book and has to go?" She's like, "Yeah." Later that week, I was trying to change something. I was trying to change the bulb on my garage door opener, and from standing from where I was on the ladder, I couldn't read the instructions on the garage door opener. I'm like, "No, this woman caused this." And
it's her fault. It's not aging. It's her.
But I still don't have a problem reading close up. I mean, I do when I'm like trying to look at something really quickly, but when I'm reading, it's not a problem. But like if I'm trying to look at something on my phone, like while I'm driving, like at a stoplight, I look at my phone, I have to take a second. But once I'm reading, it's fine.
I have perfect reading eyes. I'm nearsighted, so I can't read street signs when I'm driving, but I don't own a car, so it isn't really a problem very often. And I need to put my glasses on when I'm watching TV or I'm going to the movies or something. But reading so far, anyway, and I'm in my 50s, I'm still
That's
fine.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Because it's a natural part of the eye that it loses its flexibility over time, and
it'll probably happen.
Yeah,
it'll probably happen. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. But yeah, so far it's totally fine.
I was reading Realm of the Elderlings when it happened to me. I feel like I'm in a support group. Yeah.
Where were you when you realized that your eyes suck?
Right.
I was in second grade.
I
was partly through the Tawny Man trilogy when I realized my eyes were failing me in the.
I'm going to turn your video off.
I love it.
You're giving Derry migraines.
I've had bad eyes since I was a kid, and they're getting progressively worse and worse every year. Like, it's really bad. And I've had a lot of corneal abrasions in this left eye for various reasons, and I'm terrified I'm going to go blind in that eye. Very scared.
Damn, sorry to hear that, Rogue. Rogue's eyes went crap literally within days of turning 50.
But you know what? In my mind, Rogue got 10 extra years than a lot of people do. Because 40, my uncle's an ophthalmologist, and I went in there and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "You turned 40. He said, "That's
what she
about."
told me. That's the way he told me.
Yeah.
My best friend here in Berlin, German guy, Christian, I was at his place, and he had been reading, and he put his Kindle down. And I grabbed his Kindle and was looking at it. And I was like, "Dude, you're kidding, right?" There were like 20 words on each page.
Yeah.
He had turned his eyes are so bad.
Mine felt like that, dude. But here's the thing. Here's been my thing. Why struggle to read something? Like, I jack up the size of my phone and everything, even if I could read it a little bit smaller, because I'm like, why strain my eyes? Like,
okay, I'll tell you why. Why.
Shit.
I'm on a date. And I've got my text on my phone set at a larger font. And my date was, I don't know, 15, 20 years younger than me, maybe. She sees this grandpa font coming in across my phone.
And that was a wrap.
And that was it. The dimples were not going to work moving forward.
Dang. Well, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you're good.
Alan.
At least right now.
Evie is yelling at me. What did you get delivered?
It's stuff for my kid that is coming. It's an otter, and then when I open the other one, I hate flamingos. I hate them.
But I can tell by looking at that flamingo that flamingos do not hate you.
I hate apparently
that's
my
a very
kids
snuggly
like this better than me, but I hate flamingos. I hate them.
It's a good thing it's not for you.
No, it's not. But I'm gonna have to look at it every time.
Oh my God!
Then my kid will grow up liking flamingos.
Oh
Yeah, that's what I was
no!
gonna say. Gonna grow up in spite of you. You have to go to the flamingo party. You know, it's all gonna be.
And then you'll have to throw them out when they're teenagers, and they'll end up homeless and on drugs because of
And wound
flamingos.
up in the
In
Keys
their
of Florida in
as
a
a baby.
flamingo garden.
Enclosure.
I always like the flamingos at the Flamingo Hotel in Vegas. I always go look at them every time. I love it.
Hello, Dan.
I look at the ones at Busch
Hey,
Gardens,
Dan.
shout mean things to them.
Harassing flamingos.
I do. Every time I'm there, I record.
And the employees are like, he's back. It's that guy again.
I record myself on Instagram, tell them they're not as cool as they think they are, and that they need to like come down off their high horse.
Can flamingos ride horses?
I mean,
Can they have complex thoughts?
They have a stapler.
They don't have thumbs, so I don't think.
This is a good point. The lovely named Dark One's Taint, laser surgery, I've heard from many people, is an amazing solution. I have sort of a visceral reaction to the idea of lasers in my eyes. Just sort of intuitively, that feels like a really horrible idea. But
like
I know a lot of
bomb
people who've gotten it done. Like in Germany, what you do is you go on holidays to the Czech Republic or Poland, and because it costs like a quarter as much there, and you get it done there, and eat some real good Polish and Czech food. And I know a lot of people who've done it, and it sounds like a good idea. And I think when I do that, when I get bad eyes, I'll do that. No money.
Yeah, laser surgery sounds fine. I mean, I don't know what bank Dark One's Taint like rolled over in order to bring in, like, how many sacks of coins with dollar signs on them did you have to bring to get
Money
it done?
bags. Lots.
I'm already having existential crisis. But the other day I said to my wife, I'm like, hey, can I get the dog another like shirt? Because we've just discovered that our newest dog really likes the clothes that the other dog didn't like. And I'm like, I want to buy another one. It's so cute. And she said, I'm like, why are you not excited about this? She's like, well, you should look at our bank account. And I said, what? Because we've been married for 5 years, and that's just not something that's said. Like, I worked too hard to I've worked a long time to not have to be the people who are like, well, let's check to see if I can afford this $15 shirt for the dog. And I'm like, what? Like, so all of a sudden we're having a kid and now we have no money. Like, so that's it. Like, this is our life.
What are you doing buying dogs shirts anyway?
Mean, all the cool dogs in Paris.
That's the problem right there.
No, the problem. No, I live in a hedonistic consumerist society, and that is my right to buy things for my dog that nobody needs. That is my right.
And that dogs don't like.
No, that's not true. Sophia likes them. Samson did not like them, which is why we do not already have a glut of dog clothes, because my wife has had Samson for forever. We have approximately one pajama shirt, and I wanted to buy a second pajama shirt, and I was told to look at the bank account, and I hate it. I hate so much about the way that is. So I can't get laser surgery because they won't take credit or old Fushigi Yugi VHS tapes in trade.
Surely there's got to be a back alley eye laser surgeon who will take.
I'm certain there is.
VHS tapes.
He'll wake up
in
with one
exchange.
less kidney, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to buy Great Value brand anymore, and I'm not going back. Guess I'm just going to starve.
They don't have
Oh,
Great Value brand eye surgery?
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with Great Value brand except for certain things like cheese. There is under no circumstance should anybody be eating Great Value brand cheese. Do it on other stuff like cereal, that's fine. Splurge on the cheese, because Great Value brand cheese is a cheese. It's not real.
I'm with you on, like, cheese requires quality.
Shut up, Mitch. Sorry, not you, Mitch.
It needs to be quality. Yeah. Like, low quality cheese, it should not be eaten. Rogue has a good point. You live in Florida. Why do you need to put clothes on your dog?
Okay, so
isn't it like temperate every day, basically? There?
You guys are again trying to apply some practicality to this. It has nothing to do with keeping the dog warm and is completely frivolous and my right as a consumer.
My fashion.
There you
I'm
go,
in.
Rogue. There's your answer.
I love this.
Maybe the problem is that Rogue lives in Ireland and I live in Germany. We live in Europe, so like maybe Rogue
you guys are supposed to live in the blasted heath of like not being able to buy things because you're not.
We can buy things. We just have sense.
No, you
That's
just
what I
buy,
meant.
you guys buy like potato sacks and stuff like to keep you warm, like scratchy burlap
Potatoes.
blankets.
Okay.
And then the rest of us over in America, we are
You're wrapping
accustomed-
yourselves in cotton candy all day
yes,
long.
we are accustomed to a certain way of living, and that is what we have to be pampered. We are not accustomed to the hard life of the Germans.
That's
We
true.
don't have that Prussian instinct.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
That
my
is
Potato
true.
sacks.
I mean,
Okay.
if you lived in Hamburg, where I used to live, there are no potato sacks, but it basically is horizontal rain and freezing temperatures for 8 months
and there
a
are
year.
no blankets. There are no
So,
blankets or
yeah.
windows.
I'm just looking out my window, checking that.
None.
There are no blankets or
No.
windows.
Correct. You must
seems like a
deal with
problem.
fire. That's
Have
why
you
This
been
sounds
to
like
Europe,
a
Alan?
the
Dostoevsky
Germans are
novel.
all superhuman
God.
because their parents expose them to the elements when they're small, and the ones that don't survive weren't strong enough to carry on the German.
That's
German
what that
tradition.
was. My neighbor was like, it's the middle of winter. My neighbor was just on the balcony earlier today, holding the baby by its legs.
I
What is this,
know.
Craster's
I
Keep?
was going to call the police, but I guess they were just conditioning
Survival
their
of the fittest.
kid.
Survival of
Okay.
the fittest.
Makes sense.
Wow. Okay. I have learned what
all
Germany
true.
is.
Yeah, it's true. It's all true.
I want in on the potato sack market.
Yeah, it's big in Germany.
It's huge.
It's a growth business. Rogue lives in California. Okay. But Rogue is Irish. That's right. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, but in California, where it's also never cold. Shut up, Rogue.
It's going to be 30 below wind chill here tomorrow.
Where do you
Okay.
live, Brian?
I'm in Minnesota. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
God bless you. My
So
God.
you guys know it gets cold here too, but our blood is way thinner, so we experience it as cold. But people are like, "What? It's 30 degrees? I went outside in my underwear doing that." Okay, well, your blood is thick as congealed molasses. Ours is like really, really weak, watered down coffee. And so
Is that real?
I partially grew up in Florida. My stepmother, my dad is dead, but my stepmother lives in St. Augustine. And I always thought it was hilarious because I grew up in Washington, D.C. And then at some point I lived in Europe where like cold has a totally different meaning.
Yeah.
And it gets to be like under 60 degrees and my Floridian stepmother turns the heating on.
okay, guys, I'm cold right now, but I'm going to show you. I just took a picture of my thermostat, and I'm cold right now.
Wow.
That's wild, dude. That is wild.
I have no joke. In my classroom, I have not one, I have 2 space heaters on blast for half of the day. It takes me until like 1 o'clock to be warm.
Wow.
I mean, that's not American degrees.
It's 3 degrees here too, Matt.
That's Celsius.
Oh, well, this is what it is outside. Sorry, that's my wife. This is the degrees it is outside. 54 degrees, and it's cold. I'm so cold. I hate being cold. Hate it. Hate
So
it.
this is Berlin in your degrees.
Still
right now.
warmer. Yeah.
So,
That's so cold, and it's going to get that cold this week here, and I hate it.
Oh, I would love 37.
Yeah, that'd be a reprieve for you, dude. That's
It's like
man.
literally think about it. Tomorrow outside, that's 70 degrees warmer than it's going to be here.
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Go build an igloo, Brian.
Right? I think my blood type is Siberian.
go to literally like go to Russia. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well,
I
that's
traveled
where my
I traveled in
ancestors are
Russia.
from, so that would make sense.
I traveled in Russia quite a bit, like 10 years ago, and that redefined cold for me. I was in minus 45 degrees. I don't know
Yeah.
what that is in American degrees, but it's below zero also in America, like minus 20 or something.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like I've never been anywhere until I was in Russia, where I was walking around, and after walking around for an hour, I thought, wait a sec, the weather could kill me.
For
Like
sure.
literally kill me.
For sure.
Not
Yeah, you
not
realize that the
actually
Earth-
even take that long.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
Earth doesn't really care.
No.
about
No,
you.
I mean, and people think differently about it. Like the first night I was in Russia, I had some Russian friends. We were at a party. I was traveling with some other Europeans. We were at this party. I went outside with another guy to smoke, and I came back in, and he didn't. And my Russian friends immediately went, "Where is he?" I was like, "I don't know. He wanted to look around or something." They were like, "No, no, no, no." And one of the Russian guys was like, "You, and you, come with me. We have to go find him," because they couldn't see him out the window. He wasn't in the front of the building anymore. And they were like, "No, if he sits down and stays somewhere too long, he could die. We don't hang out outside at night in the middle of winter, you know."
Yeah.
So
I think being born and raised here, I've been conditioned to it. But like on the weather tonight on the local news, it is going to say tomorrow, don't go to your mailbox unless you really need what's in the mail, because frostbite will kick in within 2 or 3 minutes of being exposed outside. So Alan is never moving to Minnesota. We've established that.
I have to do this for Evie. If I don't show her fits, she's going to be angry at me.
A girl I used to date, Brian, lived in Minnesota. I've been in Minnesota in the winter, and it's cold. It's cold.
Yeah.
I forget. Like I lived in Connecticut for a year, which is
Okay.
not as cold as Minnesota, but your blood congeals. And so by the end of the first winter there, I was in my shorts in 40 degrees.
You're good. Yeah.
I don't wear shorts in July here.
Yeah.
Ever. I wear jeans 24 or 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. I wear jeans.
Yeah.
Colin is shocked.
Oh
Alan.
yeah. I don't guess I don't talk about it a ton. Oh, the reason is I don't post a lot. I don't have a lot of videos. If I did, you'd probably hear it. But since I have like I'm going for like quarterly videos, like once a quarter maybe. I don't.
Well, I posted a video yesterday to thank my subscribers and wound up losing 2 subscribers.
Oh yeah, that's how it works, bro. You gotta wait for that 10 sub buffer before you start posting. You gotta be real careful.
I was like, wow, okay, so much love to the community as they flee.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to
I
conform.
streamed Dark Souls and lost like 30 subs. Like
Yeah.
next day.
You need to continue to stream video games because it'll recalibrate.
They're just like,
Yeah.
they're like, look, we'll deal with you not posting for 2 months, but stream a video game. We are out of here.
And Alan's good at it. I mean, like I tuned in because I thought it'd be fun, but guy's good at Souls games, no doubt.
It's entertaining. I mean, that's your thing. Like you should do video game streaming. Like it fits you and you're very entertaining without feeling
I could totally imagine you having a just only games channel, Alan.
The problem is I don't like the people who stream video games.
Well, that's why you get to
Fair
be
enough.
different. You
Right.
get to be
You'd be the good one.
Yeah.
I don't.
You'd be the breath of fresh
I
air.
could never do it because I don't have the setup. I stream from my console, like straight from my console. I don't have a Twitch setup.
You'll get there.
I don't have.
You'll get there.
No, you have to have purple lights.
You don't have to have all that.
You have to have purple
You
light.
do.
Requirement.
You
yeah.
do not have
No.
to
And
have
some
that.
neon
Little
green
LEDs
somewhere.
on your
Listen,
headset.
I would never have
Yes.
background lights myself.
Yes.
You also have to be able to be like, oh my gosh, oh man.
I mean, can we acknowledge that this does look really nice?
Oh no.
It's
Those look-
done.
Jimmy,
That is
I'm with
so
you. That looks
dope.
amazing.
It looks really
Can't be
good.
fake.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Alan, I don't know if you got what it takes, actually.
Yeah.
I don't have your freaking nice backlights.
No
I'll send
purple
you one.
lights. No Bobby B talking it over your shoulder.
My
Look,
man.
No, forget it.
I already know that Jimmy is better than me. I talked about it extensively yesterday. I
Wait,
can't
what?
remember if you were plotting my death or I was plotting your death. One of the two is happening.
Wait, what?
With Philip, I was like, yeah, it's like Jimmy. And I can't remember if I was trying to kill you or you're trying to kill me. One of the two. We're mortal enemies in the theoretical situation I was talking about.
Oh, okay. You were doing a metaphor. Okay, I was so lost. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. I was doing an example of if this was like this, but I can't remember if I was killing you or vice versa.
I'm just ready for the deposition when something happens inexplicably to Jimmy after the stream.
In all fairness, I have been wishing I've always wanted Alan to have a B&E on stream. Like he's just like there yelling like the school system sucks, and you just hear psh, and he's like, ah, and just
We could probably organize that. Couldn't
Why
we?
does my breaking and entering have to involve me being beaten? Like, doesn't
oh,
have
it has to.
involve-
It has to.
Why?
And I want
Once-
them to steal your animals. Like I
Once
want
they hear the things
hard.
that you have to say about pretty much everything, then they're going to start beating you.
I mean, that's true. Like, it's lonely. Because,
What? You don't like flamingos?
I mean, I hate flamingos.
Yep. All my stories apparently involve parties.
What is
I never realized.
Grit saying? Alan's the epitome of a large ham?
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
Hams are really expensive, by the way. It's crazy.
Everything
They
is
get fun.
Really?
Pants?
No ham.
Ham.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
said
Christmas
pants. I
ham?
was like, okay.
Dude, I was gonna buy a ham
Christmas
for
pants
Christmas,
are
and I
very
was like,
expensive.
we're not eating ham. It ain't happening.
Yeah, it's YouTube purging bots, Brian. I had the weirdest thing sort of early last year, about a year exactly ago. My subs went like through the roof, biggest, like 5 times bigger than they've ever been in one day. And then the next day they went so down, it was unbelievable.
I
And
love my bots.
It just
Listen,
seemed like it was bots.
We
you know,
also
just
can't
like,
lie to ourselves. There are plenty of people who unsubscribe because I do this. I watch
Oh
not,
yeah,
not
of course.
I watch a lot of YouTube. It's like my main form of entertainment. But I watch non-book stuff. I watch all this other stuff. And there are times where someone will post and it's been a while and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about them. And then I'll just unsubscribe. I'm like, oh, like nothing personal. I just do it. Like it's just something I
Yeah.
do. And it's funny because I do YouTube and I don't connect these things. But what I'm trying to say, Philip, is there are some people who don't like you anymore and they've unsubscribed from you. You just have to deal
Correct.
with
Yeah.
Correct.
And some of them may be in this stream.
it.
On
I
the
just
screen.
unsubbed this morning and I was on the
That's what I'm
channel.
saying.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll sub with other accounts to Philip's channel just so I can unsub later.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before, Zin. Streaming on YouTube hurts you with the algorithm if you leave it up. What?
I've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, they're probably true. It's probably true, but whatever.
could be. Yeah.
Everyone tells
No.
me to take them down and clip them and then re-upload them, and I'm like, no.
But
I
for gaming,
Editing
YouTube is-
editing a 2-hour video? No, thanks.
but for gaming, like with what I at least what I watched Alan do, the video quality is just so much better than from Twitch. It's not
Yes.
big.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
actually,
Like, it's night and day. The chat features in Twitch are way better, mostly because there's no delay. But the video, I don't know if it's encoding or what the technical term is, but it's night and day difference. It's like
Oh.
4K versus standard definition TV.
Okay. So streaming to YouTube, the video quality is better. Okay.
Yeah.
Way better.
if you went to Twitch
Yeah.
and did it, I find the YouTube one. Now, I do think you get a higher bit rate if you're a big Twitch streamer. I think they give you some extra stuff. But,
It's
like-
actually probably the other way around, that if you aren't that big, they're choking your stream.
Probably, honestly, I wouldn't be. It's
Yeah.
Amazon. So
It's
I wouldn't-
Amazon. I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm sure it is. Or if you pay them more, you can probably get a better bit rate.
I'd be curious if Google. I mean, they probably don't because they have their own cloud infrastructure. But I wonder if they use AWS services for YouTube. Probably not. But I'd be curious.
I would bet they have a corporate policy against exactly that. One of their biggest competitors for so many things.
You'd be shocked, though. You'd be
I mean,
shocked.
AWS is kind of standard for everything.
Oh, they own the world, dude.
Like, yeah.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
they do.
Yeah, it's
I-
not. It's not the storefront you need to worry about. It's AWS that you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, their
I-
bot takes down my product advertising all the time. I've been selling on Amazon for 6 or 7 years now. I have to constantly maintain every day to make sure their bot doesn't just say, "Hey, you sell a flask and a flask is liquor, so you can't advertise liquor, so no more advertising." And you got to go find somebody in Amazon, which is good luck, to manually moderate and correct it. Yeah, difficult platform.
My last job, we used AWS for hosting services for the applications we had, And if I told you how much money we paid Amazon monthly, you would vomit.
Yeah. I believe it.
It's seven figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work in online software industry as well. And man, they get a lot of money off of every company I've worked for in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Our project was massive and super duper like important, sensitive.
Yeah.
So I understand why we do some of it. But I was just like, when I saw it, I was like, what? That is insane.
Right. And here's everybody in the mainstream public thinking Amazon is just making whatever commissions they make on when you buy something on their platform.
Yeah, no,
But I
no.
promise you that is the minimum, that is the smallest revenue stream they have.
Yeah.
Is the minor commissions.
Well, they
They're an
took
advertising
losses
company
for
for
10
us.
years on the storefront. But also, if you make a competitor to Amazon, you want to host it, you're probably going to use AWS.
Yeah. That's true. That's right.
Crazy.
Build your own internet highway with all of our parts.
Yep.
What
Yeah.
exactly do you do, Jimmy?
I'm a software developer.
Okay.
I work mostly on the front end of things.
Right. Okay.
But I've been doing that for a number of years now.
I'm a UX designer, so I work with front ends like you
I've
pretty
done
regularly.
a little bit.
I went back and watched some of Jimmy's wrestling matches on YouTube. You got great moves, man. I've been watching wrestling since the early 80s. I'm telling you, I was impressed. This is no joke. You
Thank you.
you absolutely have in-ring talent and you've got the personality, which a lot of people that have the technical ability don't have.
Yeah, it's a very tough thing to do. The thing that sucks is everything that's online for my wrestling is not the good stuff. Like there was some really great stuff that I was a part of. So everything I watch that's online still, because I took down a lot of stuff and then I kind of like scavenged to try to get things taken down. But like my best work is nowhere on the internet. You know, if it's up somewhere, it's on paywalls and whatnot.
Right.
But I do appreciate it.
No, it's really, really good. I had
Man.
a lot of fun in Las Vegas with Rick Steiner and Sid Vicious one night. And
I tag team with Rick Steiner and his brother Scott.
did you really?
I was an honorary Steiner brother in April of 2014 or something.
Big Papa Pump.
Meanest guy
awesome.
I've ever met. Meanest guy other than Vader I've ever met.
Rick and I went out and tore Las Vegas up one night. And it all started, I'll tell you a story another time, but it all started when Sid Vicious was staying on a 9 on blackjack. And I knew who I was sitting next to, and the guy was holding on 9. And I said, oh my God, someone has to teach this guy to play blackjack. So I started in and became friends with him and Rick, and the night went on from there. We'll put that story behind the paywall.
Rick's a good dude. He's really involved in the school. He might be a superintendent now, but he was a principal for a long while. But he was a really good dude.
Yeah,
I like Rick
for sure.
Not so
Sid, like the punk Sid Vicious?
No.
No.
Okay.
Sid Vicious, who snapped his leg in one of the worst wrestling accidents of all time.
Okay, so you're not nearly as cool as I was thinking you were. Okay.
No, they took me out. Sid and Rick took me out and told everybody I was their manager, and that I hadn't been introduced on TV yet, but that it was forthcoming. So we had a good time.
We call that
probably says more about me than about you. That like the only Sid Vicious I've ever heard of is that Sid Vicious.
Yeah,
the Sex Pistols is way more famous, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Derry made the same assumption. And yeah, you're just booktube cool now. Sorry.
I mean, I could tell you Prince stories someday, Derry, if that gets me back up the cool ladder.
one of my ex-girlfriends danced with Prince at a after party.
Is that why she's your ex-girlfriend?
No. They didn't have that interesting a dance.
Oh yeah. He'd show up in high
heels. He was
girlfriend.
obviously being polite.
Yeah.
He was surrounded by like these supermodels and stuff. And my ex-girlfriend had like bigger balls than anyone I've ever met. And she just went straight up to him and said, "You should dance with me." And he was like, "Okay. If you say it like that, you're probably right." I mean, in that Prince voice, if you say it like that, you're probably right. And he got up and danced with her briefly. Yeah, it's cool.
Good dude.
Prince was awesome. Yeah, Prince was pretty. He was kind of a legend. Yeah. Absolutely. Everyone's either excited about or disgusted by your cold pizza, Alan.
How do they know it's cold?
Because he's been on the stream for an hour and a half, and Pizza wasn't delivered, and you're muted, Alan.
It's the AI again.
I heated it up in the microwave.
Ah, okay. Microwave pizza is
it's
almost
not
as bad as
delivered.
cold pizza, if you ask
No,
me.
it's
but,
not delivered. It's crappy Tombstone pizza.
Let's go.
Ah, okay.
Alan is single-handedly keeping Tombstone in business.
The man knows his frozen pizza.
They're Jeopardy's new sponsors, Jimmy.
I don't have a kitchen yet. So like this is one of the interesting things about Berlin. Like the building I live in is probably a couple of 100 years old, and the landlady is weird. Or actually now she's dead, but when she was alive she was weird. When I moved in,
Weirder now that she's dead too.
yeah, no, when I moved in she
Move
was
along.
alive and she was really weird. And she always rents her flats with as little done as possible. And in Berlin, you can rent a flat with the cheapest garbage kitchen that you can imagine. Like the landlord has to provide a sink and an oven, but they can give you like a $30 sink and a $50 oven, and they've fulfilled their legal obligations. And she actually rented it with nothing. So my kitchen was just like an empty room. And I don't have an oven, so I can't really do pizza, unfortunately.
That's wild.
Yeah. Although I've just been meeting this week with a guy who was going to come and install a kitchen for me.
What about
I have
just getting a
it's
pizza
like
oven?
everyone's getting kind of shocked that I've got no kitchen. I've got what I call a survival kitchen. So I've got 2 electric hot plates. I've got a really junky, cheap sink box thing. And a couple of tables and whatever. I've got a sink. I've got but I don't have any oven. I don't have any kind of oven. And like almost nobody I know in Europe has a microwave. I know it's like such a standard thing in
I haven't
America,
had a
but
microwave in probably 15 years.
Yeah. I haven't.
Since getting an air fryer, I don't really use the microwave.
Same. Yeah.
Air fryer is awesome.
I have heard that.
Air fryers are, fantastic.
What a great invention.
Having a kitchen is higher priority for me, but once I have a kitchen, I may get an air fryer. They sound really, really handy.
I use mine almost daily.
Same,
Yeah.
Jimmy. Same.
Yeah.
Almost everything I cook in the air fryer.
Vero asks, how do I feed myself? I order a lot of food, to be honest, but I also just make sure I buy things that I can cook on hot plates and not in ovens. I don't bake anymore. I love baking, actually. I used to be a real baker, but I haven't had an oven in a while. So, but if the dude who came to look at my kitchen last week was not lying to me, I could actually have a finished kitchen in about a month. We'll see.
That's a pretty good turnaround.
Well, actually, the installation itself takes maximum 2 days. I mean, it's they're not building it from scratch. I'm getting an IKEA kitchen, and I just give them a list of everything I need from IKEA. They order it, pick it up, deliver it, install. Whole process takes 2 or 3 days.
What was that heating mechanism you showed in your video yesterday or the day before?
Oh,
Built
yeah.
into that.
This is also a typical old Berlin thing, especially East Berlin. I have in all of the main rooms of my flat, I have what's called a Kachelofen. It's a tiled oven, which is a coal burning oven, which until I moved into this flat was the way this flat was heated. The people who lived here before me burned coal in their flat to heat the place. And I've got one in this room, which is the office. I've got one in the living room, which is always what's behind me when I do the sort of monthly wrap-ups. And I've got one in my bedroom. I don't use them, but I could actually. By law, if they are connected to the wall, if they're connected to a chimney, the landlord has to maintain them and make sure that they work. So if I wanted to start burning coal tomorrow, I could, but I don't. I've been in flats that are heated by coal ovens, and then your flat stinks of coal. And the room where the oven is really hot, and everywhere else is really cold.
We could start a show called the Coal Miners Booktuber.
I could.
Black lung, not included.
Exactly. For free. An IKEA kitchen does not mean I need to put it together myself. That's why I'm hiring some dudes. I could theoretically put it together myself, but it would not take a day. It would take a lot longer and it would be garbage. So I'm hiring some professionals who are not nearly as expensive as I kind of expected. And they will come and assemble it all and do all the things except connect the gas. Another law thing in Germany, which is actually probably a smart law. You have certified people who can connect gas appliances. What do I like to bake? Actually, I found a recipe years ago, which was published by the New York Times in their food column, which was Katharine Hepburn's brownies. It was Katharine Hepburn's own recipe for brownies, and they are awesome. You can probably Google it and find it as well. And banana bread. I used to bake a lot of banana bread, actually. Love banana bread.
Fantasy Awash is a good baker / cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura can cook, man. I watched
Kay,
her.
Kay has also done a number of like food episodes on her channel.
It's really cool.
Yeah. But I have not been baking in a long time. I haven't owned my own oven in a number of years.
I get baked quite often. You know what I mean? You see what I did there?
I see what he did there.
I totally see what you did there.
About marijuana. It's funny.
Britton, who are you asking about Red Dead 2? I played Red Dead, but I mean, that's like years ago.
I think because you're using a coal stove, he's asking you if you're.
Aha.
Alan with the context.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
Fun.
Yeah. Red Dead 2 was great.
So fun.
Such a good story.
One of my
I
favorites.
did so many
ever.
terrible things in that game. I had people hog-tied, dragging them out in barb bushes. Yeah. Like, what? I was a serial killer.
Dragging people behind your horse on a rope.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yep. Throwing them in front of trains. Yep. You and me both.
The crashing of the horses is one of the greatest parts of that game, though. You're not paying attention. Sudden wham, the horse right into a tree and you go flying.
I like whenever you could actually get intoxicated in the game and everything's just like
easy.
And you're like, man, this is pretty accurate. This is
Screaming
wild.
for Lenny is one of my favorite parts in that game.
Lenny! I also like petting my horse and just go, you're all right, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Good boy. Derry actually loves putting flat pack furniture together. That does make you weird, Derry. It really does. It absolutely does. I just built a shelf and I put it off for I think 2 weeks. I had big boxes in my living room for about 2 weeks because I just didn't want to do it. And then I finally did it because I wanted to move my books, reorganize things.
Dutch is sorry, I mean to interrupt. Someone said Dutch, and it just reminded me that like Dutch is one of my favorite characters in a video game ever.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You just gotta have faith, Jimmy.
You just gotta have faith.
It just needs you to have some damn faith.
We're on the frontier. Like I did. I love Dutch. What a ridiculous character.
When they go to Guarma, he turns into Dutch tropical. That's all right.
I need to replay that game, dude. What a good game.
It is really good. I mean, I'm always like two things in games. Like if I can explore in a game, like and go around a corner and see something amazing somewhere, that's one of the things I love the most. And a really good story, which most games do not have. And the Red Dead 2 story was just so engrossing and emotional, and it was just awesome. The exploration part of it wasn't that exciting because it's just kind of the real world, and you know, I've been there.
Still way more than Starfield. I just finished that about a month ago, and there's nothing to do there. So
yeah, that's kind of true. I played a lot of Starfield for a bit. And that is kind of true. I mean, procedurally generated worlds are always going to be a little bit of a dead end in a way.
Me and Alan went on a video game podcast to talk about stories and like video games and books and like how it all relates. And we did like 3.5 hours.
Did that ever air?
No, dude, they never aired it. And Alan was on one, dude. He came in hot. He's like, my mic's not working. I haven't eaten. Yeah. He like flips his plate. He's like, who are you? You know, like we've never met these people before. Patricia, she's one of my viewers, and
you're surprised that it never aired?
Yeah.
Well, I was waiting on it, and I kept checking, and it's been like 9 months, and it ain't come out yet. And I'm like, they canned it. They never got off the cutting room floor.
Why didn't they air it?
Bro, we were off the rails in that episode. Like, I mean,
Are you kidding? We had good conversation on that.
I thought so.
You listen to most video game discourse, it's nonsense. The same dumb crap over and over. We offer some differing opinions.
Well, I love Patricia, and I really liked her husband, who's the guy that hosts the show. He's a good host. It was a good episode, I thought, but they never posted.
Have you messaged her to be like, hey, so where'd I go?
I haven't hit her up about it yet, but I'll have to, because if she didn't want to post it, I want to post it.
Yeah, let us do it.
I want to watch it.
So this guy runs a WoW Classic podcast, but he brings on guests every now and then, talks about like other stuff. And he was like, I'm not really sure if like my audience will, you know, he's not sure if it would work. He's like, but I thought we'd do the episode or whatever.
No.
And apparently it didn't work. But yeah.
Any of you guys GTA players?
Not online, just the story game when it came out.
Just the story, yeah.
38 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new GTA coming out. I mean, it looks like kind of more of the same with better graphics, but what do I know? I've never played it.
I saw that the trailer broke the YouTube all-time 24-hour views record.
It's crazy how popular those games
Formerly held by Mr. Beast, and I don't think anything he does or anybody else is going to do that's going to top that Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. It was insane.
Yeah.
It's not that good of a trailer. Like, it's not even that good of a trailer.
No, but the interest level's been building for so long.
It doesn't, you know what's crazy? And this is just like how in tune I am with video games is like, I know it's been a while, but I didn't realize it was that long. Like, it's been on like what, 3 generations of consoles or some madness or something like that.
Well,
and
I mean,
like
it's like live with online.
Yeah, and I just felt like there was still life in the game because I watch role players, people who have role players there. I watch those videos. I love them. I think they're hilarious. But I guess it had been forever long. And I also, by the way, I thought Grand Theft Auto 5 story was fantastic. I
love the multiple POVs that they did in that game.
I agree. And the meth addict dude was the best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trevor. Yeah, dude. Trevor
the meth head.
Dude, he was unhinged.
Walking around in your underwear and a dress.
Yeah, it's so funny. Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude who leaked the trailer got destroyed.
Yeah, I think they threw him in jail or something crazy. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think his dad was working at Rockstar, I think, and he lost his job too. Yeah,
to be expected, really.
I might be wrong about that detail.
I'd be surprised if he didn't lose his job. I mean, I've got friends that work in video games, and you sign all the NDAs when you work there, and you're not allowed to talk about anything. Like you should expect to get fired immediately if you do something like that.
I don't know if throwing him in jail for 20 years is.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you should expect to get fired.
Much, but yeah,
like getting thrown in jail for a trailer leak is a little insane.
I think he was sent to like a mental hospital indefinitely. Was like he's like on permanent residence there or something like that.
Has been ordered to
mental hospital
order, an indefinite hospital order,
hospital order, and they're just going to keep him there for the rest of his life.
Oh, it's because he is severely autistic and was unfit to stand trial. And allegedly expressed his desire to continue cyber crimes, which the judge ruled made him a high risk to the public. He is also a member of an international gang that has attacked companies including Uber, Nvidia, and Rockstar Games, costing the company millions of dollars.
This is
all right.
Kev has it here. He said that wasn't the same person who leaked the trailer. This is right. This is like gameplay leak. The actual trailer leak, I think, was the son of an employee. I think, and I don't know what happened to him. I was thinking of this guy though that got put into the mental hospital. Because when I heard that, I was like, that's wild. But I did hear that he had like said basically, if you let me out, I'm going to do it again. And they're like, well, we just won't let you out.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't let you out. Yeah, that's
Kev's got it.
kind of fair enough. Oh man, wow, he hacked many companies.
Those poor companies. I hope they're okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers, right?
They're gonna
I mean,
start buying things out.
brother.
I feel for them. So I think we have somebody who has to go shortly.
I have to go.
That would be
I
Alan.
sent in the private thing that I had to go.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Um,
yeah, you-
He did.
Yeah, Jimmy. Way to pay attention, Jimmy.
Sorry, I
and
was
in Discord
engaged.
beforehand. So I think this is a good point to call it. Thank you guys for joining me. I've wanted to do this. I mean, Brian didn't exist when I first had the idea of wanting to do this, but
I'm not sure I still do,
with-
but and I may not by your next episode.
with Alan and Jimmy, I've wanted to do this for a very long time. Thanks for coming, guys. And I wanted to get Brian on screen and chat with him since I discovered his channel a few weeks ago. And if you haven't subscribed to Brian, go subscribe to Brian because he's awesome. His videos are funnier than pretty much anybody on BookTube. Definition of someone who doesn't take himself too seriously and is very entertaining doing it. And I've been watching Alan and Jimmy since before I started my channel, which is a year and a half ish now. And they're two of the guys that inspired me to even start my channel. So
for
great
sure.
to get you guys on screen.
For sure.
Really good to have a chat. I always love seeing your videos.
Yeah.
And have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody in the chat.
Yeah. And thanks for inviting me, Matt. This is super
Thanks,
nice
Matt.
of you to do.
Yeah,
It's awesome
pleasure.
to meet you guys both too.
Good to
And
meet
Very
I'll promote a little. I do at 9 p.m. my time, which is 3 p.m. EST. Every Sunday, I do the Sunday Pub. The way the Sunday Pub works is anybody who wants to join on screen, anybody, literally anybody, is welcome to. Anybody who wants to watch and join in the comments is welcome to. I post the links on my Discord channel on the Grimoire Discord, which if anyone saw the announcement yesterday, Joanna and I are stepping down as co-owners of the Grimoire Discord and starting a new thing with Josh. We will be announcing much more about that next weekend.
Drama alert. No, I'm just kidding.
No drama at all.
alert.
I specifically made a point of making it very clear there is no drama. We all have massive love for each other. It's just some of those guys are not that active anymore, and the Discord has kind of
Shots fired.
dropped off. Well, they're not, and they
This is wild.
agree.
I'm
Same.
hearing you got
Um,
kicked off the Discord. I
Yeah, this is
can't
a rap
believe that.
battle.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Exactly. It's a good thing I don't live in America, or I would have bruises. No, we all have massive love for each other. I love the guys over there. And Joanna and I are just moving on and joining up with someone slightly more age appropriate, Josh from Read for Your Books, who is a little closer to my age than anybody else on the Grimoire is.
It's
But-
age tribute.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I hate young people. But if you want to join for the Sunday Pub, I post the link and people are welcome to join on screen or watch and join in the comments. So some of you I will see tomorrow evening in the Sunday Pub. Otherwise, I hope everyone's well and take care of yourselves. See you later.
Thank you. See ya.